17a1, Perek Rishon El Arbaso, Maseches Pesachim. So we'll start from Gufa. Yeah. So having exhausted its challenges to Rav's opinion concerning the susceptibility of beverages to Tuma, the Gemara focuses on the aforecited exchange between Chagai and the Kohanim. The Navi Chagai and the Kohanim. To this end, the Gemara cites two opinions regarding the accuracy of the Kohanim's response. Gufa, Rav Omar Ishtabish Kahanei, the Kohanim erred. Shmuel Omar Lo Ishtabish Kahanei. Shmuel said the Kohanim did not err. Rav Omar Ishtabish Kahanei Revi B'Kodesh B'Minayu. Because why Rav said that the Kohanim erred? Because Chagai asked them about the Revi, fourth level of Tuma in the case of Kodesh. And they told them it is Toher, which is incorrect. Shmuel said the Kohanim did not err. Chamishi b'Kodesh b'Mina, because Chagai actually asked about the Chamishi, the fifth level of Tuma in the case of Kodesh. Toher, and the Kohanim responded to him that Chamishi is Toher. Bishlam al Rav. All is well according to Rav, who said that Chagai asked him about the fourth level of Tuma. Ainu dechtiv arbo. That is why 4 items are written in the verse: lechem, v'nozid, v'yain, v'shemen. Bread, stew, wine, and oil. Ela l'Shmuel, but according to Shmuel, who said that Chagai asked him about the fifth level of Tuma. Chamishum enale. From where in the verse does he derive that there were 5 items in the chain of Tuma transmission that Chagai discussed? Mikosa benoga kanfe, is it written, and his garment's corner touches bread, etc., which would imply that the sheretz itself, which is in the corner of the person's garment, touches the bread. Venoga bechanfoi. It doesn't say kanfoi, it says with a bet, bechnofoi. What does bechnofoi mean? Ksiv? It is written, and with his garment's corner he touches bread. B'ma shenoga bechnofoi, meaning that he touches bread with that which touch the sheretz that is in his garment's corner. So the sheretz is an avatuma, first degree of tuma. The object that touches it is rishon. The bread which that item touches is sheni. The rishon touched the bread is now sheni. The stew is a shlishi. The wine is a revi, and the oil potentially a chamishi. So they were asking about the Kohanim responded about the oil that was toher. The Kohanim were correct in declaring the oil toher, that the tumah would not transmit that far. So Tashma.
So it goes down 4 levels, and then it can't impart tumah?
That's it.
That's always the case?
Basically, the 4th level.
Yeah. It's no more than 5th. They're no more than 4th.
It's very weak. So can you go with the thing in the 4th level to the mikveh?
Every level can go to the mikveh. Everyone needs purification. The discussion is primarily about the transmission, the power to transmit. Right? We established before that it comes to beverages, the beverages can become tummy. All question was about the ability to transmit. And also, if we said they're biblically tummy, rabbinically tummy, or biblically transmitting, or rabbinically transmitting. If the transmission of the tumah is rabbinical or biblical.
Doesn't it say here, Chamishi b'Kodesh b'Minayu? What does that mean? It's the 5th.
Where? Chamishi b'Kodesh b'Minayu, meaning that when Chagai asked the Kohanim the question, b'Minayu he asked them. So Chagai asked the Kohanim, according to Shmuel, about the 5th one. He said that Chagai asked the Kohanim about the 4th one. And so according to Rav, the Kohanim erred because the Revi is Tameh. According to Shmuel, he asked him about the fifth one, and therefore the Kohanim did not err, telling Chagai that the fifth one is Toher.
Oh, so there is a fifth, but it's already Tahor.
That's so. It's all.
That's what fifth is.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You can also have a sixth and a seventh, because if the fifth touches the sixth, it touches it but doesn't transmit the tumor. It's like when we touch money. How many people touch that bill?
I get fresh bills. Go to the ATM.
I don't see it there.
My father-in-law used to send to Hanukkah. He still does the dollar bills.
The fresh dollars.
So he would go to the bank. Then he got tired of it, started sending checks.
And now it does it through QuickPay and Zelle.
I don't know. He's not that.
Yeah, come on, there's no end to anything.
So Tashma Vayemer Chagai Im Yiga Temei Nefesh B'Cholel. Chagai said, if one who is Tameh from a corpse touches all these, the Tameh person touches bread, which touches a stew, which touches wine of Kodesh, which touches oil of Kodesh. Hayitmo. Will it be Tameh? Vayanu HaKohanim Amru Yitmo. Kohanim says it's Tameh. In this case, the Kohanim answered correctly. Shmuel, this fits well according to Shmuel. For since here, in regard to a case of corpse tuma, the Kohanim did not err, indicating that they were proficient in the laws of tuma. It seems reasonable to say that there too, in regard to the previous case of sheretz tuma, they did not err. Why is it here regarding Rav, in regard to the case of sheretz tuma, they erred? He says the Kohanim made a mistake. Whereas here, in regard to the case of corpse tuma, they did not err. He says the Kohanim were very proficient in the laws, or knowledgeable in the laws of corpse tuma, but they were not knowledgeable in the laws of sheretz tuma.
Does that make sense?
It says about the time of Chizkiah, we mentioned in Chizkiah before, that even a child was proficient in the laws of Tuma and Tahara, which is very complicated, intricate laws. But according to Rav Nachman, the Kohanim did not, they were not proficient in the laws of Sheretz.
Then you can ask the question, how much difference?
They did not know that this holds true even when Tuma originates from a Sheretz. See Pnei Yeshua for an explanation of what basis, of what the basis for the error was. So the Pnei Yeshua goes into it, explains to exactly why they made a mistake specifically about Sheretz and not about corpse. I guess which one would be more common happen? Or which one they are more careful with?
Corpse.
It's easier also to avoid, I think, Sheretz.
I don't know, I think it's harder.
But Sheretz is not making it tummy unless it's dead.
Ah,
See a creepy crawler running the street, there's no problem.
It could be a piece of bone from somebody who was killed, or all kinds of stuff
you don't know what's
laying around. You don't know.
you don't know
Yeah.
what's around.
Walking through a
That's true, you don't
field,
know what's
like we
around.
said before, the field, it could be a cemetery, like Corvers in the cemetery.
Right.
We all got a tune of the mace. That's why we'll have the, what's it called, the cow.
Yeah, how's it down? Burgers.
Yeah, remember that?
I know, the ashes. Ashes, the ashes.
The paraduma. Here, I got it in front, I blocked it. No, not that. I'll stand online for that, 'cause
Oh, yeah.
instead of other things that they want us to stay on.
Okay.
They-
So
It's just us.
So-called personal way.
Ravina also Revi Ocha Shlishi. There, when referring to Sheretz Tumah, Haggai asked them about the Revi, fourth level of Tumah. They were arrogant of this level and therefore answered that the oil is Toher. Ocha Shlishi here, however, when referring to the corpse Tumah, Haggai asked them about the Shlishi. They were familiar with this level and therefore answered correctly that the oil is Tomer. So the fourth level they were not familiar with, so they ruled Toher. The third level they were familiar with and they therefore ruled Tomer. Tashma Vayan Haggai, a refutation of Shmuel's view from Haggai's remarks following his interrogation of the Kohanim. Vayan Haggai vayemer ken ha'om hazeh v'chen hagoy hazeh lefonenu mavai v'gomer. Haggai spoke up and said, "So is this people, and so is this nation before me," says Hashem, and so the continuation of the pasuk, and so is all their handiwork and what they offer. There it is Tomei. Bishlum al Rav, this is understandable according to Rav, who said that the Kohanim erred. Hainu dichtiv Tomei, and this is why it is written that all their handiwork and what they offer in the temple is Tomei. Ela l'Shmuel, but according to Shmuel, who said that the Kohanim did not err, Amai Tomei. Why is it written that all their handiwork and what they offer is Tomei? They were all versed in the laws of Taharis. Ismuye kametame. Haggai was wondering, since
He's saying that all these offerings of the Kana were impure?
is
Is that what this is?
Look what 14
if
says.
wait, if they what was the question to them, to the Kohanim? It says a corpse tuma that touches stew, touches this and touches
Right.
this, so it's tummy, right? It's being transmitted to four levels at least. So Haggai was with them. He says, "Okay, I understand. Chtiv tameh." Right? I understand why it's a tameh. It's understandable according to Rav. This is written for all their handiwork that they offer on that day, that particular time.
Oh,
Was tameh.
okay. It sounded like it was like it's just a blanket statement.
No.
Everything- Just that.
Only regarding that case, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah. So Ela Shmuel, and according to Shmuel, who said that the Kohanim did not err, why is it tameh? Specific about that specific case. That's what they're speaking about. Ismor Kametam Haggai was wondering, since they are proficient in the laws of Taharis, is their handiwork and what they offer tameh? Question mark. They know what they're doing. So why is it tameh? It says, and so is all their handiwork tameh. Is written in the verse, and this expression implies that Haggai meant literally that it is tameh. The Gemara concedes and therefore offers another explanation. Since they corrupted their deeds, Scripture considers them as if they offered sacrifices in a state of tumah. What does it mean they corrupted their deed? Haggai was not talking about the state of affairs at that time. Rather, he was prophesying about the nation's future descent into sin during the Second Temple era. He stated that God would consider the sacrifices brought during the period of national decline as if offered in tumah.
So okay, now Reuben has a question. No, so okay, if everything's tummy, what's the point of doing the korbanos in the second Beis Hamikdash? If he's going to not accept them, they're saying they're tumah.
No, only once they descended to sin.
Okay, so they started out.
Once they corrupted their ways.
Okay, so when he built the second Beis Hamikdash, when Ezra came back, it started out tahara. At a certain point, then
Second Beis Hamikdash, stood up for 430 years.
yeah,
So
420 years, whatever. Yeah.
So it's you can argue that many years it was okay, and then later, slowly but surely, it
went downhill, okay,
went south.
all right, so.
Why did they change their ways? Or there was a reason?
Sinat Chinam. They went,
But if it was going good, why suddenly
You got
they
the whole
changed?
question, that's the same question you asked about it after service at differs, 49 days later, look what happened. We got all these questions.
so it says, Vayishman Yishun Vayivat. Sometimes people have shuman, they have extras and luxuries, and they kick. And they say, Koichi v'otzim yodi osu l'sachai lazeh. My ingenuity, my wisdom, my talent.
You're so smart.
I graduated Harvard.
My rabbi in New Jersey used to say, being over smart. People are over smart, he used to say. And that's where they get in trouble.
Your family is good, his family is not good. His father is Ashkenazi, his father is Russian, his mother is Bukharian, this, that.
The whole
Rabbi Menashe said, someone says they have all this knowledge. He picks up his phone and goes, see this piece of plastic? All this knowledge that he has, he could get it right here in a second. You don't have to
Right.
just push a few buttons.
No,
Gava, it's
look at this.
Gava.
It's a combination of a few things together.
Look at the stupidity
Combination.
shidduchim world now. How many stupid questions people are asking
Yeah, but for regular people to be like this, it's easy. But for rabbis, tzaddikim, they know much more than us. It's more difficult to be like this.
There's more politics in the rabbinate than in anywhere else. The rabbinates are a lot of politics.
In the what?
The rabbinates in
Yeah.
Israel,
Then and
in
now.
Israel and other places,
Then and now,
there's politics.
plenty.
You want to be the chief rabbi of Israel, and they put someone else. You say, why not me? Why him? Oh, he has connection with the government. He's doing this. He's doing that. I'm appointed to be the chief rabbi of Tel Aviv. You want to be the chief rabbi of Tel Aviv. I'm more learned. He's more learned. I learned this. He learned that. It goes into.
But Rabbi, if you're real, your Torah is real.
You're not looking for this.
Exactly,
You're
so-
not going to be in the position to begin with.
Exactly.
You're
so-
not going to look for it.
The Rebbe resisted for a year after the Patira of the Frierdiker Rebbe before he took on the Nesilas. For a year. And at one point he even said, if you keep asking me,
I'm
I'm
running
going to
away.
disappear, you'll never find me.
You're gonna run away. And his
This is the
wife,
guy who's seeking power?
his wife and
To seek power is
Yeah.
from the beginning it's wrong.
he didn't want it. Like George Washington didn't want it either.
But how do you seek power
But-
if you know the
But
Torah?
the people who run after it,
Those are the worst.
the people who run after it, their whole life is they're living life of fear that someone will take it away from them. The people that running away from it, if they get a job, if they end up doing whatever it is that they were meant to do, they're comfortable. If somebody takes it away, takes it away. I'm not. I didn't care for it to begin with, but they truly are not looking for the recognition and the honor. It's not about them. It's about the mission of what needs to be accomplished.
There's, I forget who it was. It was in Siberia, though, sent there by Stalin and Maximov. And around, they're sitting there, and people are lamenting. Oh, I was a dentist. I had a big Shabbos table. You see, every Shabbos we put out this, we had this. And some other guy would say, I was a big lawyer. We had this, we had this. And they were lamenting the sorry state that they were in now. And so, I forget who it was. One of our famous guys said, when I was in Moscow, I was teaching children. That's what Hashem wanted me to do. Now, evidently, he wants me chopping wood in this wasteland. So that's what I do now. You know,
You have to be happy with
so,
it.
yeah, this is. I didn't put myself here.
But it's easy. It's easier said than done because there is certain natures that Hashem put in every person,
You have to
And-
fight with this.
and you don't know how you're going to react to that, to that nature until it comes your way. You don't know. You ever experienced the temptation of honor or wealth or women? I don't
It's
know,
easy
any
to
other
speak in
temptation.
this position,
Yeah,
yeah.
but when
It's
you're
true.
in that position,
Yeah.
it's not so simple.
Yeah.
If it was, nobody would have failed and no one would have sinned.
It's true.
But people still say, test me with wealth. I can handle it.
Yeah,
Test
you
me.
find
It's
out
not
it's
easy,
not
it's
so,
not easy.
Yeah.
not so plush.
Yeah.
It says that the test of wealth is harder than the test of being poor. A poor person is trust Hashem. What does he have to lose?
Right.
He's already
It's true.
he's already by the gutter. So it's like, what's the?
Yeah, you know, like, let's say.
But the wealthy man, why should he trust Hashem?
It's me.
Yeah, isn't it?
Yeah, but a difficult life for poor people.
And also the rich man, if you think about it, everything he has is a booster for his ego. So you walk into his house, a big house.
My idea.
I don't care how nice he is, how humble he is. You walk into his house, and let's say it's a $5 million house. There's no way that he knows that you are impressed by it. So you're a human being. You are impressed by it. Give it. You walk in, you see the pillars, you see the 40-foot ceiling.
The balcony, the stairs,
No,
the
the Gemara says that you walk into a Dira Nar, which is a beautiful place. It broadens your mind. You're thinking differently.
That's why they got all these mansions that you go to visit.
So it's not completely wrong, but I'm saying every little thing they have. So you walk into their car, it's luxurious. Everything is luxurious. So they know that you're looking at it with, most people are envying what they have, and most people looking up to them say, oh, if they have this, so they're probably better than us. They're probably greater than
People
us.
give them cover.
So they give them cover. So it's a constant struggle. In one hand, they need to tone it down, and on the other hand, Hashem gave it to them. Why shouldn't they use it? To use it for good things, but should also use it for themselves. Why not? So it's not a simple thing. And they need to give tzedakah, but they are very money motivated. So they worked hard for it, and they don't want to just give it away. So it's
That's how come.
Rabbi, do you agree?
It's-
If a guy is very rich, in Brazil it's common. Rich people, they give bar mitzvahs $200,000.
Yeah.
Easy.
Right.
200, 250, like this. Do you agree? It's fair.
I see the issue with it. I see the problem with it. But on the other hand, if you think about it, business-wise, you know how many people benefited from that 200,000?
It's true.
The waiters, the
It's true.
catering,
It's true.
so they helped out the people.
They're
Kosher
giving back to
food,
the
the
community.
So
mashgiach.
it's not bad.
The
It's
rabbi-
not bad.
No, I think it would have been probably. It's better if they would do something more productive with it. But it's a simcha shel mitzvah at the same time. It's a simcha shel mitzvah, so it's not so black and white again. That this is wrong and this is right.
Oh, okay.
There's. I know that I think my father once told me in Muncie, there was a rabbi that one of the Rebbe, I don't know if it was Satmar or one, that he said he put limits, and this is the amount of people you can invite,
Yeah, I heard this.
and this is the amount you're allowed to spend on a wedding.
Yeah.
And also on Strandlich, you can't spend
Why?
more than, they made a limit, I think.
Why?
$2,000.
Why? Because they said a lot of people. It's not the issue with the guy that spent 200,000.
Right.
It's the issue with the neighbor that doesn't have the 200,000, and now he wants to make a wedding. So imagine
feel
you
bad.
made a wedding last night, $200,000. Now comes another guy who wants to make
You
a
feel
wedding.
bad.
He's like,
Well,
the flowers are not real flowers. This is not real. This is not.
there's something worse than that, is they borrow.
No, so that's the cause, and then
They
To be in the
borrow
same
it,
position.
'cause-
Yeah.
because the daughter, how's she gonna feel with the son-in-law,
Right.
and he has to show her the family, and and
Right.
you can't make
That's-
like a.
That's
a
what
little
I
wedding
said. A
with
world of sheker. It's a world of show off. They had a show,
So it goes into debt, and now what?
Do you know what they did though to the weddings and say the Rebbe said not to spend.
How
the
did
money?
you do it?
I
You
only have
married a few
four-piece
kids already, right?
band, so
One
they
of my
instead they
married
made the
off twice.
sheber brakas more expensive.
Wow.
Then the wedding.
Right.
One of my kids got divorced. And my wife says, okay, we're making a wedding. I said, so we made one for this kid. She goes, right, and make another one.
Yeah, they did that.
No, what we do?
Still your kids, right?
Yeah, they kids. But
My
we
brother
did not go
twice
extreme.
Right,
too.
don't go
And
crazy.
now
Yeah,
she's
you're not.
going to be working on number.
We don't regret it.
She's getting
Yeah,
divorced.
and what happened if the other side says, I want to go a little bit?
So we had it with one of them. We said, "Gig is okay." We knew what we wanted to give. It wasn't $500.
Right,
We gave more than that. But it was. But I'm not going to spend 30, 40, 50,000 on the wedding.
Right.
I'm not going to do it. I didn't have it. Number one.
right,
Could have found a way, maybe, but eating nuts.
right. It's just one night and
One night, it's 4 hours.
4 hours.
One night,
yeah.
it's a few hours, and they don't even eat the meal. But
No matter how you cut it, it's 4 hours and it's whatever.
And there's always someone that will complain.
Yeah.
The food was not
either way,
good, yeah.
either way, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how much you spend.
That's what we say this about to get the points for the wife. You get 2 points. If you're
Right.
giving flowers, you get 2 points for giving a car. So it's just 2 points. So what are you gonna do?
So comes Gufam Rav.
You're gonna be in that parsha soon, buddy. And Hashem should bench you.
Amen.
Good shidduch for each one of your kids.
Amen.
Good shidduch for each one of your kids.
Amen.
You should have the money to pay for it and enjoy it.
Amen.
You should
Amen.
dance. And should be in Yerushalayim with Mashiach.
Amen, amen, amen.
Without masks.
I said with Mashiach as can. You didn't hear the part. You just think it's just in case.
So Gufa Rav Tani Mashke Besmit Vachaya. Rav taught Rav Yosef ben Yoezer's testimony as referring to the beverages of the butchering place. If you notice, one is mit bachaya and one is mad bachaya, referring to beverages of the altar. Mit bachaya, butchering place. Mad bachaya, with a dalid, is referencing to the beverages of the altar.
16, I think it's 16. Blood, water, wine, and oil.
Yeah. Blood, water, wine, and oil. Okay. Anyhow, so Aval, ללוי, הניחה הסבירה לכשמואל דאמר דוחה מלטם ותום הסחרים. All is well if he holds like Shmuel, who said that Yosef ben Yoezer meant that the temple beverages are Torah in the sense that they are precluded from contaminating other things. But they are susceptible to acquiring tumah themselves. If Levi holds like Shmuel, it emerges that even though wine and oil are among the beverages covered by Yosef ben Yoezer testimony, they are susceptible to tumah themselves. Mashkachasla, you can find it to be true that in the latter case described by Chagai, the oil is tameh. The nogi kulo berishon. If we explain Chagai as meaning that all the items on his list touched a rishon, that's a different story. All the items on the list, whether it was the oil, the stew, they all touched rishon. So when Chagai said, if one is tameh from a corpse, which is another interesting question. So we talk about rishon. Let's say this is rishon. So, and it touches this, then it touches this, and touches this. Is there any time that the rishon loses its potency?
No.
That's another way to look at it. Well,
It will
maybe
be always Rishon.
it's so it makes this shiny, this shiny, this shiny forever. It can always make shiny. We don't know. We have to see. But in this, if you look, there's two ways to look at the question of Chagai. There's 3-4 items that touch the rishon. Did they touch him directly, or did they touch him successively? Right. So he writes, the nogi kulo berishon, that all the items on his list touch the rishon. That is, when Chagai said, if one who is tameh from a corpse touch all these, it will become tameh. He meant to ask what the law would be if a person who is a rishon would himself touch bread, a stew, wine, or oil of kodesh. So a person is Tomeh, Rishon person, touches all these things. Bread, stew, wine, oil. To this question, the Kohanim answered correctly that whichever one he touched would indeed become Tomeh. Since the temple beverages are precluded only from contaminating other things, but are susceptible to acquiring Tumah themselves, but if Levi holds like Rav, who said that Rav Yosef ben Yoezer meant that the temple beverages are literally Tohor and are not susceptible to Tumah at all, how can you find it to be true that the oil is Tomeh? Al Korcha K'Shmuel Svirale, therefore Levi holds like Shmuel that Yosef ben Yoezer meant to exclude the temple beverages only from contaminating other things. So they are susceptible to Tumah but cannot contaminate other things. Shmuel, and according to Shmuel, who stated above that the Kohanim did not err when they responded to Chaggai's first question, that the oil would be Toher. And the reason they did not err is that Chaggai's question was whether the oil could become Tomeh on the Chamishi 5th level. All is well if he holds like Rav, who taught Yosef ben Yoezer testimony is referring to the beverages of the butchering place, blood and water. But the beverages of the altar, wine and oil, can even contaminate other things. The fourth one cannot make the fifth one. But Shlishi can make a Revi. But if Shmuel holds like Levi, the who taught the beverages of the altar. What is the point of resorting to the explanation that the question pertained to the Chamishi level and the Kohen did not err because a Revi cannot make a Chamishi in the case of Kodesh? Even wine of Kodesh that is Sheni cannot make that which it touches a Shlishi, since it is an altar beverage. Even if the question had pertained to the Shlishi level, the Kohanim answer would have been correct. Shmuel holds like Rav, who taught Yosef ben Yoezer's testimony as referring to the beverages of the butchering place, only blood and water. So we have beverages of the altar and we have beverages of the butchering place. Beverages of the butchering place is blood and water. Beverages of the altar is oil and wine. Tainaka say the Rav, a vice of...
And it has four, right?
You get the blood and the water and the wine and the oil.
The accompaniment, the libations, usually is the wine and oil. The beverages, you also sprinkling blood on the altar,
Yes,
correct?
So four.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
But it says primarily Beis Mitbachaim is the butchering place. That's where you have blood and
Blood and water.
blood and water. And in
the altar they have blood,
the
water, oil, and wine.
Yeah.
All four.
But primarily they're mentioning the oil and the wine because they were poured on the Mizbeach.
Uh-huh.
They were like during the year. They did the wine libation, and in Sukkot they did also water libation. The wine and oil were the main accompaniments for all the korbanos and the flour offering and so on. Tankav say the Rav, Tankav say the Levi. A Baisa was taught in accordance with Rav, and a Baisa was taught in accordance with Levi. Tankav said the Levi. Baisa was taught in accordance with Levi because it says Adam, Vayayin, Vashem, Vamayim, blood, wine, oil, and water, Mashke Be'emit B'chai, the beverages of the altar. Shenitmu B'fnim V'yitzin Lachutz, if they were contaminated inside the temple and someone took them outside, Tehorin, they are Toher. Nitmu B'chutz, Michnusu B'fnim, but if they were contaminated outside the temple courtyard and someone brought them in, they're Tamein, they're Tameh. So this Braita follows Levi's version of Yosef ben Yoezer's testimony that the beverages of the altar are precluded from Tumah. The Gemara digresses to question one of the specifics of the Braisa's teaching. Eini is this is it indeed so that if a beverage was contaminated inside the courtyard and was taken out, it remains toil? Rabbi Shua ben Levi said, concerning the beverages of the altar, it was said that they are tohor only in their place, the temple courtyard. Does this not mean to exclude a case where they were contaminated inside the courtyard and someone then took them out? The Gemara says, they were contaminated outside the courtyard and someone then brought them in. But Rabbi Shua ben Levi stated that they are toil in their place, which implies that if they are removed from the courtyard, they become tameh. This is what Rabbi Shua ben Levi meant to say. It was said that the beverages of the altar are toil concerning a case where they were contaminated in their place. Rabbi Shua ben Levi teaching mirrors that of the Baita. Tanya Kavatei the Rav, a Baita was taught in accordance with the version of Rav Hadam v'Hamayim concerning blood and water. Mashke Beis Mitbachaya, the beverages of the butchering place. Shenitmu, that were contaminated, ben bechil, ben bekarka, whether in the vessels, whether they were contained in vessels or gathered in the ground. Tehorin, they are tohor. Rabban Shimon bechil and tmeim bekarka tehorin. Rabbi Yeshua says that beverages were contained in vessels or tome, but if they were gathered in the ground, they are tohor. So the Baita follows our version of Yosef ben Yezer's testimony that the beverages of the butchering place are precluded from Tumah. Amar of Papa, even according to the one who said that the Tumah capacity of beverages is biblical in nature, concerning the beverages of the butchering place, a halacha l'Moshe Messina was received. Ela Omar le Ravuna Brid Rav Nosson Rav Papa ve'elo do Amar Rabbi Lezer ein Tumah l'Mashin Kolik. Rabbi Lezer Bechlal said that there is no Tumah to beverages. Tumah does not apply to beverages at all under biblical law. Teida Shareid, going back to what learned yesterday and 2 days ago, Shareid Yosef ben Yoezer Tzreida al Mashkut B'chad Dochon. For Yosef ben Yoezer Ish Tzreida testified about the beverages of the butchering place that they are tohor. Now, if the rule excluding the beverages of the butchering place from Tumah is halacha l'Moshe Missinai, mi gamrin al mino, if this is a tradition directly from Moshe Rabbeinu, mi gamrin al mino, can we derive from it that ordinary beverages are not subject to a biblical Tumah? The halacha l'Moshe Missinai teaches that an exception was made for the beverages of the butchering place. How could Rabbi Lozo have cited this rule as proof that all beverages are not subject to biblical Tumah?
Because it was exclusive just to the Beis Hamikdash?
Just to Beis Hamikdash, to the butchering place.
Right. Oh.
It says the halacha l'Moshe Sinai was
very specific.
Yeah, very specific. Which beverages are not susceptible to Tumah? For Yosef ben Yoezer of Tzreida testified about the beverages of the butchering place that they are tohor. Now, if the rule excluding the beverages of the butchering place from Tumah is halacha l'Moshe Sinai, mi gamrin al mino, can we derive from it that ordinary beverages are not subject to biblical Tumah? Maybe we can learn, say we can correlate, say, oh, this is it, and regarding the butchering place, the beverages are not susceptible to Tumah, so maybe we can do a kal v'chomer or a gezerah shava. How could Rabbi Lezer have cited this rule as proof that all beverages are not subject to biblical Tumah? Rabbi Shimon d'Amar Tumas Mashkin d'Oraisa. Rabbi Shimon is the one that said, Rabbi Shimon is the Tana who said the Tumah capacity of beverages is biblical. The Tanya, Rabbi Yisrael, Rabbi Shimon, in regard to utensils that might have been touched by tom beverages, the rule is that they are toil out of doubt. But in regard to foods that may have been touched by tom beverages, the rule is that they are tome out of doubt. So regards to kelim, they are toir out of doubt. When it comes to utensils that might have touched tamei beverages, they are toir. Food, on the other hand, that touched beverages, they are tamei out of doubt. It's both out of doubt, but in the case of kelim, I would say they are toir. In the case of food, I would say they are tamei. Ve'achar kama Rabbi Shimon. This is the opinion of Rabbi Shimon. If the beverages of the butchering place that were contaminated, now these beverages are contained in vessels. Tamei beverages contained in vessels, they are tamei. But if they were gathered in the ground, they are tahor.
Gathered in the ground is like in a cistern?
Yeah, directly on the ground or puddle.
But not just absorbed by the ground.
It's absorbed on the ground. There's no use
gathered.
for it. Yeah, gathered. Yeah, they're still somewhat accessible. V'il. Now, if the exclusion of the butchering place beverages from tuma is halacha l'Moshe Sinai, mali b'chili, mali b'karka, what difference does it make if they're contained in vessels or gathered in the ground? He says the halacha l'Moshe Sinai must be by definition teach that biblical tuma does not apply to beverages of the butchering place. Since the exclusion of the butchering place beverages is limited to rabbinical tuma, it is obviously a rabbinical rule. So the Gemara says, Kasha, this is indeed a difficulty. Rashi states that Rav Papa's opinion is erroneous and this Bryce slipped his mind when he stated it. However, Rambam in Shar Ovis Atumois and Tumas Ochlin accepts Rav Papa's opinion as halacha. See Pnei Yeshua and Tzlach for clarification of this matter. Also see Rabbeinu Chanan. So Amar Rav Papa, Ado L'Karka Teirin, Lo Yishanu Lam Maim, Aval Dam Lo. In the ground, you said it's tohar, it's only about water, but not blood. Umayim nami, and even concerning water that is gathered in the ground, only if there is revis. The chazir adu mechotim tzuneos, because if you have revis of water, you can toivel needles and spinning forks. Spinning forks. I know about forks, but spinning forks is maybe Hanukkah forks.
Yeah, it's for
Yeah,
You're right. Yeah, the spinning for weaving. Why? Some kind of.
they call it hooks.
They don't call it spinning because it
make
spins.
like a thread for like a sweater or something.
Oh,
That's the weaving part, but there's also spinning. Right? When you take wool
And they make
and
a cloth.
we work with it, I think the
Right.
process is called.
yeah. And they're making it into a usable thread.
Yeah, back in
What's it called? Gandhi, Mahavdir was famous for that. Get every day was a spinning wheel. They would take it and
Right.
they would stretch out the fibers and make them into usable yarn. Spinning forks.
So you have a vis of wine in the ground, gathered in the ground. You can toivel in it those spinning forks and the needles. But if it does not amount to a vis, it is tomeh and susceptible to tumah. Amamar Abuda says lakol tomeh, to anything that might have been touched by tomeh beverages, the rule is that it is tomeh out of doubt. The member of the Sovar Rabbi Yehuda is this to say that Rabbi Yehuda holds tumas mashkin letumas kelim deoraisa. Tumas mashkin letame tumas kelim deoraisa. The capacity of tuma beverages to contaminate utensils is biblical. Vatinan kol hakelim sheyesh lo machoraim v'sich. Concerning any utensils, we learned in a Mishnah, concerning any utensil that has an exterior and an interior. For example, korim, kegoin korim, v'aksos v'asakim, martzufin, pillows, cushions, sacks, leather bags, the rule is nitma teicho nitma gaboy. If its interior was contaminated, its exterior is tome. Nitma gaboy lo nitma teicho. But if the exterior was contaminated, its interior is not tome. Interior still remains toher. That's only when they were contaminated by beverages. But if they were contaminated by sheretz, the rule is the interior was contaminated, the exterior was the exterior and also the interior. So when it comes to beverages, you can differentiate between the inside and the outside. When it comes to sheretz, it's out. Now, if it will enter your mind, if you should think tumas mashkin letame kelim deoraisa, that the capacity of tame beverages to contaminate utensils is biblical. If you would think that way, mali nitma bechamas mashkin, mali nitma bechamas sheretz. Why are you differentiating between sheretz and beverages? In either case, the entire utensil should be tame, whether its interior or its exterior is contaminated. If it's biblical, then all of it should be tame, even with beverages. So the Gemara answers, Amar Yehuda Amar Shmuel Chazar beRabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda retracted the ruling cited in his name above, and he concluded that the capacity of tame beverages to contaminate utensils is rabbinical. According to Ravina, Rabbi Yehuda did not retract his ruling. He deals with beverages that became tame on account of being touched by tame hands. How the beverage become tame? Touching tame hands. But this one, the former ruling, which implies that beverages can contaminate utensils biblically, is mashkin aboy mechamas sheretz. The sheretz, the beverages became tame not because of your hands; they became tame through a sheretz, and then they have a biblical tumah. So according to Ravina, Rabbi Yehuda differentiates also how the beverages became tumah. If they acquired tumah through sheretz or they acquired tumah through your hands. Concerning what case was this stated? Concerning a case where they were contaminated by beverages. But if any such utensil was contaminated by a sheretz, the rule is that if its interior was contaminated, its exterior is tameh, and if its exterior was contaminated, its interior is tameh. Leifleg v'lisne v'dido, Rabbi Yehuda should have differentiated and taught a law regarding the subject of contamination by beverages itself, as follows: concerning what case was this stated? Concerning beverages that became tame on account of being touched by tame hands. But if the beverages became tame on account of being touched by a sheretz, the rule is if its interior was contaminated, its exterior becomes tame, and if its exterior was contaminated, its interior becomes tame. Rather, the clearest resolution of the contradiction is as we answered originally. Chazar by Rabbi Yehuda retracted his former ruling.
So the tumah from the sheretz, if it touches the kli on the inside or the outside, the whole thing becomes tumah, right?
Yes.
But okay, so the different. But if from the mace, from the quartz, it's only inside or outside, or is it both too?
It doesn't say mace. It speaks about the hands. If someone's tame, if someone became tame and his hands touched the beverages,
right?
But the Gemara ends off saying that Rabbi Yehuda did retract his ruling that the capacity of tame beverages to contaminate utensil is rabbinical, not biblical.
Okay.
We're talking about contaminating the inside. If we have an earthenware vessel that has a lid that fits fully, and the tumor's on the outside, it doesn't transfer to the inside, I feel. It does?
It does not. Depends on what type of tumor it was. That's
even a rishon.
If beverages touch the kli, beverages were tummy and they were touched by hands, then the exterior will be tummy, the interior won't.
Right.
But if the beverages became tummy through sheretz, the inside and outside become tmeim. Even though it's sealed, closed, it becomes it penetrates.
Penetrating,
Yeah,
right.
it penetrates.
Like WD-40, it's a penetrating
Yeah.
substance.
So ibalu mekelimu deoda bei aval beochlin karbisur v'bishim svir alei. Odil mo legamri odo bekarme. So the Gemara wants to know if his retraction was complete or it was halfway. What does it mean? If Rabbi Yehuda, is it only from the view that beverages can contaminate utensils biblically that he retracted? But regarding the capacity of beverages to contaminate foods, he holds like Rabbi Yossi and Rabbi Shimon that this is a biblical capacity. Or perhaps he retracted his view completely, Rabbi Meir, and he holds like Rabbi Meir that beverages do not even have the capacity to contaminate foods, not only kelim, but also regarding to food. Amar Rav Nachman Bar Yitzchak Tashma, come learn resolution from the following Mishnah. Poro sheshosu somei chatus. If a cow drank purification water, what is purification water? The water which the ashes of the paraduma have been mixed. This water is holy water, and it was made to sprinkle, to make people toher. Imagine the cow drank it. The water is sprinkled upon people and utensils that contracted corpse tumor. And now the cow is drinking mei chatas. The cow is drinking this water. Besora tome, its flesh is tome, which is amazing. You say, why would it be tome? Right? Why would it be tome? Rabbi Yehuda Imer, botlu b'me'eo, the water was nullified in the cow's intestines and lost its capacity to contaminate. Therefore, the flesh is toher. So we have the opinion that says, well, according to Rav Nachman Bar Yitzchak, the flesh is tome. According to Rabbi Yehuda, it's not tome. Okay? We'll stop here and continue about going tomorrow. So that's one of the things that is amazing about the laws of Tumah and Tahara. That's not necessarily logical in many, you would think.
Well, it's not,
She's drinking something pure, she should be pure. Talmud of Nachman Bar Yitzchak, he says no, she's not. She becomes tummy by drinking it. Even if she was pure drinking this mei chatus, water that designed to make people toil, the highest level of tumah makes them toil, the coin becomes tummy, and if a cow drank from it, cow becomes tummy.
The blue one away.
thank
So
you.
I think we in 16.
16.
So we previously spoke about what exactly you can tell someone else, and so it says all the above applies when a person declares his intent to himself or tells another person to perform such an activity after Shabbat. It is, however, forbidden to tell a goy to perform that activity on Shabbat, even if there might be a halachic convention that would theoretically allow the activity to be performed by a Jew, since presently the factors enabling that convention do not actually exist.
So it would have to be a specific circumstance under which it would normally that it would be allowed?
What did we say before? We said you're not allowed to speak about the prohibition against speaking about one's own concern on Shabbat applies only to concerns that are forbidden to be dealt with on Shabbat. So you can speak about your concern, but concerns that are not forbidden on Shabbat. if it's concerns that are forbidden on Shabbat, and it is a question what you can say and how you can say it.
So, a basic example, if I were to fill up my cup with water, that's a concern, personal concern, but it's allowed on Shabbos, so I could have it do that. But to fill up my car with gas,
Now what I'm saying, fill up your pool, your swimming pool tomorrow, and I need to fill up my swimming pool on Sunday. If you are you allowed to tell it to a goy?
no, because you can't do that on Shabbos. Right? Could you? You could fill, could you fill it?
It's like
If you're gonna use it for a minute,
yeah. So over here he gives an example. He says, for example, it is forbidden to tell another person or to say about oneself that he should bring produce that is muktzah into his house on the following day. So you're not allowed to bring potatoes to your house on Shabbos that are not cooked. They're muktzah because you can't eat them, or rice that is not cooked. So you're not allowed to tell a goy to bring it on Sunday to your house. You're telling him on Shabbos to bring it on
You
Sunday.
can do it on Shabbos, you can.
Yeah. So it says, "Avalim yesh tzad heter be'emes." Sheyuchal esos be'eter. If there is a way to permit, meaning that a Jew can do it in a permissible way, the goy does it in a prohibited way. If the goy would be a Jew, you say he's violating Shabbat. But since sometimes you can tell a goy to do something that you would have been able to do it in a permissible way. For example, you're allowed to make a salad on Shabbos. Make yourself a salad. You can do it in a permissible way, and you can do it in a prohibited way. What is a permissible way? You're taking the salad, you cut it in a normal, not very fine. You can tell a goy to cut the salad, even though he might cut it in a prohibited way. Since you could have done it in a permissible way, you can tell him to do it also. But he will do it, he's probably going to do it in his way that will be prohibited. Maybe he's going to use a blender, I don't know, but he's going to do it in a different way, that not necessarily mutter.
And if a guy uses to put lemon to
Right, he uses the lemon
he
squeezer.
He decides
Right.
to use. It's okay.
Because you could have done it in a permissible way. That's the point you say. Avalim yesh tzad heter, there is a way to do it in a permissible way. Sheyuchal esoras be'eter, es davar atzmei, shenechaz beis. The Jew can do it in a permissible way. What the goy does it in isu, he does it in a prohibited way. Yesh matirin, there are some who are you said yesh matirin, not everyone, but it says there are those who say that you're allowed to tell a goy, as long as you don't say it directly, you're not telling him directly to do it in a prohibited way, and the goy will do it in a prohibited way, it's okay. There are those who say you're allowed to say it. But you remember the conditions. The conditions are that you can do it in a permissible way, and you need to tell it to him that it's not clearly, you're not telling him clearly to do it in a prohibited way. But if the case is that there's no way for you to do it in a permissible way, what you're asking the goy to do, you cannot do in a permissible way. But you might be able to make it to get there without the goy doing the job. You can avoid the whole thing. We give an example. If you tell the goy to bring you water to drink from the lake, okay? He goes to the lake and he brings water, or the river. The Jew can walk also to the river and drink from there.
But not bring inside.
But it says, Ein ze moil klum lo yitamer shel nochri, which means, although the Jew could himself walk to the river to drink there, that is not sufficient to permit instructions to be given to a goy to bring him water, as will be explained in section 325. So this is in a way, interesting way, because on one hand, there is no way for you to do it in a permissible way, but you can avoid the whole thing by going to the river and drinking there. You cannot tell the goy to bring the water to you. So the example of a salad, for example, is a good example for you can do something in a permissible. You can ask your cleaning lady or your helper to do that, even though she might choose to.
The salad preparer, you have a baker, you have a salad preparer, you have someone who sets a table, someone who clears a table.
Right.
Someone,
At the famous $250,000 bar mitzvah,
Yeah.
right.
you know, on Shabbos, you got the goyim, they're